When a baby is full term, it usually comes kicking and screaming into the world after 40 weeks of pregnancy. But what happens when the child arrives before that? Avery Haynes now with one young family's journey of incredible odds.
You know, Gord, Edwyna Irwin watches City TV all the time, and she reached out to me on Twitter. She said in her first email to me that even if I didn't consider her story an inside story, she would always think of her son Riley as her little miracle. Tonight's inside story, micro-preemies. This is Edwyna and TJ basking in the second trimester of their first pregnancy, hands forming a heart over the life inside, everyone blissfully unaware of the heartbreak that lay ahead.
I was really excited. We'd actually been wanting kids for a little while.
Now look at the ultrasound picture. Two tiny little hearts, twins.
It's very special, and I'm so lucky that I was also blessed with twins.
Also blessed because Edwyna herself is a triplet, and one of her sisters has already given birth to healthy twin boys.
It's just a bond that someone who's not a twin or triplet wouldn't understand.
This is Edwyna on bed rest, hardly looking pregnant at all, let alone with twins. But just after this picture was snapped, she was rushed to Mount Sinai Hospital as doctors desperately tried to stop her very premature labor.
They said that at 25 weeks, the odds of each of them surviving labor alone were only 60%. And the fact of having two surviving twins was very unlikely that early on in your pregnancy.
Sophie and Riley were born into this world on October 2nd, 2012, 3.5 months too soon. Sophie weighed just 790 grams.
They were able to deliver her actually in the amniotic sac, which is very rare, and that helped protect her brain, and I think that might have saved her life.
Sophie's hand fit on my finger when they were born.
Her big brother Riley weighed 880 grams.
His placenta had burst, which meant that he was in danger and I was in danger.
Sophie and Riley are whisked away because they're in grave danger.
When I delivered both of them, I missed the opportunity that most women get to hold their babies.
It's hard.
Yeah, it was very hard. But I did get to hear them cry, so I knew they made it.
Whisked away too from each other, Riley and Sophie separated at birth as doctors frantically try to keep them alive.
They couldn't breathe on their own. Their lungs or any other organs weren't even fully developed. So it took about 5 hours to even stabilize them before I got to see them.
When you first laid eyes on your twins?
I love them. I couldn't believe that they were alive because they were so tiny.
When we first saw them after they were born, and they were wrapped in plastic still, because they were so small, and they just looked like little Barbie dolls. They were so small.
They're called micro-preemies and were born with a long list of medical problems, chronic lung disease, holes in the hearts. But each day, little Sophie was getting stronger. Riley was not. Doctors discover he has the dreaded necrotizing enterocolitis, a potentially deadly hole in his bowel.
The odds for him weren't that good. There was a 30% chance that he'd even survive it.
Riley beat those odds, but was dealt one terrifying blow after another, each time doctors warning that his little body might not make it.
He went through 4 surgeries.
Surgeries for a hernia, a blocked intestine.
His little tummy was cut from side to side.
A bleeding ulcer.
He lost almost a third of his blood in an hour. They didn't think he was going to make it. There was no oxygen going to his brain, so they thought the brain damage was going to be too severe.
Was there any point during all these times of Riley kind of facing down death that you thought, he can't keep beating the odds?
In the back of your mind, you're always preparing for the worst, like how much, nobody can take this much.
TJ bends down and whispers into his tiny son's ear.
I just told him that we was proud of him, and he's been through a lot, and he's been fighting, and if he ever wants to give up.
Your feeling was just that I need to let you know that if you need to go, you can go. You can let
Pretty
go.
much, yeah.
And that sound you just heard is the sound of survival. Meet Sophie and Smiley Riley, the little boy who defied all odds. Both babies are home, healthy, and meeting their milestones. And despite 7 months in the hospital teetering between life and death, it is this moment that TJ and Edwyna fixate on, the day their twins were reunited 89 days after birth.
We actually held each one of them, and they were both crying. The second that we even put their skin together, they both instantly stopped crying. It was just incredible to see that they have this bond already and there's been no spoken words between them. It was an unbelievable moment. It's like they just knew that the other one was now with them.
And both babies are healthy, but Riley's road is going to be complicated. You may have noticed that his tongue was a bit larger than Sophie's, and that's a part of something that's very rare, a syndrome called Beckwith-Weidman syndrome, and that does increase his risk of childhood cancer, so he will be monitored. But this family has so much power of love that they've been through.
And he's a tough little fellow. Look what he's overcome already. Who's to say he isn't going to get through the rest of it? I'm sure he will, and I hope he does.
Me too, and let's not leave out little Sophie, because we know she had a good battle too.
Yeah, she did.
Now, Edwyna did reach out to me on Twitter. You can too. If you have a story, please do. It's at City Avery.
And all editions of the Inside Story are on our website, citynews.ca.